We're live.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the YouTube Lead Gen Show, hosted by Christina Smallhorn and myself, Malcolm Lawson. We have both generated millions of views on YouTube and hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions that we earned off of leads we got off of our real estate YouTube channels. And in this show, we mastermind about using YouTube for lead generation in our real estate businesses. Christina, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. How are you, Mr. Lawson?
I'm doing pretty good. Not as good as you, I don't think. So you just did a pretty major milestone, didn't you?
Yeah, it kind of snuck up on me. I literally looked at my phone and went, "Oh, Eddie, I'm over 15,000." Eddie's my husband.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know? I'm over 15,000. He was like, "Oh my gosh." And normally when you hit right at that mark, whenever you're right at 14,000, right at 13,000, that last 100 subscribers is painful. Right. You're sitting there looking all day waiting for it to roll over. But this one, like I said, snuck up on me. I guess because I was busy editing and doing other real stuff.
That's awesome.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, I made it!" I made it hours ago.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge milestone right there. And like I was saying in our Facebook group, I can literally I only know of maybe 5 or 6 other real estate agents that have that many subscribers on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a very elite club there of only about a half a dozen people.
Yeah, I know.
You get a trophy or something.
I think that's just because of the fact that there wasn't a lot of real estate agents on the platform prior to me or anybody else. I started this a couple of years ago, and when I started, people thought I was insane. They're like, "Oh no, Facebook's where it's at." I'm not. I put videos on YouTube, but I'm not even. They weren't even. They got so much attention on Facebook that they were kind of blew off YouTube. But the thing is about Facebook is that they changed the algorithm, because I was getting really great views on Facebook for a long time. I was like, "This is awesome." And then all of a sudden one day it just went, and I was like, "What the heck happened?" Well, they suppressed Facebook business pages, and they didn't. And then so I was like, "Well, I'm going to be clever about this, and I'm going to put my video on my personal page." Well, they took it down. They said that the business needs to stay on business. You can't put this on your personal page. Oh, thank you. Who said that? It just says Facebook user.
Yeah, you have to register with the StreamYard thing in order to get your name to show up on your comments.
Oh, I'll have to look.
But that's a really good point.
Yeah, and so I wasn't getting the attention that I was on Facebook anymore. So I decided that I was going to start venturing into YouTube a little more and just try to figure it out a little bit. But it wasn't until this past year that I really was like, I'm really serious about this. And I probably would have gotten it faster. My dad had gotten ill. So that kind of put a monkey in my wrench earlier this year, but I just knew I was going all in on YouTube this year. And that's great. This past year, I should say.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Like you said, most people focus on Facebook and they just kind of throw videos up on YouTube, don't think anything about it. But you and I are kind of backwards with that. We focus all our attention on YouTube, and we may occasionally just kind of throw some videos up on Facebook, and I don't really put much emphasis in them. And the reason for me is, Facebook's very misleading in what they call a view. A view on Facebook is very different than a view on YouTube. Right. On YouTube, they have to click it to watch the video first, and then they have to watch at least 30 seconds for it to count it as a view. On Facebook, on the other hand, it automatically starts playing in their screen. And I think 51% or more of the video is playing on the screen for 3 seconds or more, even if it doesn't have any audio on it, they count that as a view. Yeah. So it's very, very misleading.
Yeah, my analytics at the beginning, my analytics on Facebook were very good. Like I said, I liked it. People were finding my videos and everything, and I, was doing nothing different than I am now. Now people are like, I don't see your videos on Facebook anymore. And I'm not one of these people that they're informational videos. I'm not paying to play to get people to watch my stuff. I just think that's, when they had that out on Facebook, I'm like, that's dumb unless it's for a listing. That's advertising dollars for a listing. That makes sense to me, but I'm not gonna my 5 tips to buy a house. No, I mean, like, I don't know. It just, I find that the type of user on Facebook is not going to sit there and watch a video. They
Yeah.
used to. They have not. I don't know if it's suppressing content or I don't know what it is, but they don't watch videos like they do. And if you've ever been on the Facebook watch page, it's horrible. I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad. I'm like, this is what Facebook is recommending to me. Like, what made them think that I would like any of this stuff? Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, Facebook, it's just a different user experience. Most people, when they go on Facebook, they're like, well, I'm standing in line. I got 30 seconds. Let me pull out my phone and get on Facebook for the next 30 seconds. So they're not going to be watching these long form videos. They just want just something quick, dopamine releases to their brain for the next few seconds. So their attention span is much shorter on Facebook than it is on YouTube. And you bring up a good point about how Facebook is pay to play. That's what it has turned into. On YouTube, it's the complete opposite. They literally pay us to put up good content on the platform.
It's not great money, but it's
nice.
Something. It's something.
Yeah. I mean, I posted my tax form that I got from YouTube, and I made about $4,000 this year just from ads playing on my YouTube videos. And I know that's just a drop in the bucket for you, right?
Well, no. I mean, I made 10 last year off of YouTube. So it's not, I mean, that's not, I was like, I got my first big check and I'm like, that's double my mortgage payment. And I'm thinking about that. I mean, all the time and effort and the equipment and everything else that you go through to put these videos together. It's nice to get something back from it. I mean, other than leads, of course, you're going to get your leads and everything, but it's just something that like a video that you've had for, 3 years is still, giving you about $40 a month. That's kind of nice.
Passive income. Yeah.
Passive income. Yeah, it is passive after you've done the work, after you put in all the work and everything.
Yeah. I mean, you have to put a lot of work in there, but you get a little passive income for years. There's videos that are still generating views that are 10 years old. And I think a lot of my videos will probably still be on this platform getting views 10 years from now.
I wonder how much my dog pee video. So anybody that knows me, has been following me for 5 minutes, knows that my top video for the longest time was how to remove the smell of dog pee out of carpet. And I'm just going to see what it made me. Cause it's probably one of my oldest videos too.
Yeah. And I remember you were pretty upset about that for a long time. That was your top video.
Yeah. That was
dog pee.
Yeah. See, yeah, like even this one, it's still making me money. I got $38 from it, $38.32.
Yeah,
whatever. It's about dog pee.
I mean, it's the complete opposite from Facebook, where you have to pay them to get views. Like YouTube pays you to get views. Like I love it. It's fantastic.
I think that was a smart model they did from the beginning to reward the creators. I think they felt like they had to in order to get the best quality content up there. Hey, Amy. Amy's name showed up. Hi, guys. Amy in Phoenix, just popping and heading out to build closings, and we'll catch up on the replay. I love Amy.
Awesome, Amy. Yeah, I know she's doing a lot of videos about new construction lately.
Well, and that's her wheelhouse. Like, really, honestly, she, I don't know if you know this, but she worked for a company to sell tools. She was selling, it might have been DeWalt. I'm not 100% sure. I hope I don't get that wrong, but she knows construction backwards and forwards. So I think she'll do really, really well with those. The more she puts out about them, because like I said, that's her wheelhouse is construction. She knows it really well. Knows the tools of the trade and knows how things are put together. And she's a smart cookie. And I like that she's kind of trying to change up her thumbnails too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she definitely hustles on YouTube too. And I mean, that's great that she has that experience, that background, and she kind of like it's like a sub niche of real estate, not just real estate, but she's going a little bit deeper on a
I think that's the key. I think that really is the key. Oh, by the way, your tiny home video is doing well. Oh,
good. I haven't checked that out yet. Yes, I just published that this morning.
I think it's over 100 views already.
Okay, that's good for me. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, let me take a look. See, let's see what good Malcolm had.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Christina's made a few videos about tiny homes, and they've exploded. They've gotten 300, 400,000 views on YouTube. What am I up to so far?
107.
Yeah, I'll take it.
For 2
and so
hours out, I'm like, that's good.
yeah. So I'm
Especially
kind
for
of
us.
I'm jumping on that bandwagon, and I'm just kind of curious. So she goes actually, her videos are her actually at the tiny home doing a tour of the tiny home. My video is just me in my studio, and I'm just kind of showing pictures of the tiny home. So I'm trying to see if that will perform in that niche as well. And I mean, truthfully, it may not resonate with that audience. Maybe they actually do want to be there at that tiny home. So
My
it'd be
video
kind of
that's
an
coming
interesting
out
test.
on Thursday is not going to be in the tiny house. It's I'm like taking some B-roll footage from that tiny house to talk about what my subject matter is. So I'm interested too to see what happens. I think like most people, and I noticed this from my comment section, and people should pay attention to their comment section, was I had done one tiny home video, and so I kept seeing the comment, I wish you had spent more time inside the tiny house because I wanted to see more of it.
Oh,
So I did like there's a lot of me not talking and just showing scenes of the inside
yeah.
of the tiny house. I would just kind of put some words at the bottom so you could, like, I was filling out that time so it didn't just seem like blank space, you know? So, I would like put things about, the amount of homes that sold, tiny homes that have sold in the past year, that kind of factual stuff. But that way they could still look inside the tiny home. And I didn't get any comments about not being inside at that time. So,
Yeah, that's good. So you're still growing and you're kind of figuring out what the audience wants and you're trying to cater to that audience. Yeah, you had some shots in there, these kind of slow motion shots inside the tiny home, and then you had some text kind of appearing on the thing. And I was like, damn, that's like a really slick shot right there. That's like something you'd see on the news or something. But just that like a few seconds, I was like, that looks really good. I might have to do that. Like, it wasn't you talking, it was just B-roll with some text kind of appearing. And I was like, man, I like that.
Thank you.
And I'll watch a video and I'll see a shot like that, and I'll be like, man, how can I recreate that? How can I steal that shot idea and start using that in my videos?
Yeah, I just
I do
watched
that.
a outdoor guy, and he was talking about exactly how he comes up. Every time he does a scene, he's actually thinking about how he's going to edit it first and what he would want to see. So he's moving his camera around. Something that would have probably only taken him 20 minutes ends up taking him over an hour because he's constantly moving the camera around to get all those angles, because he's thinking about how he's going to edit it before he puts it out, which I thought was really neat.
So I want to kind of take a few steps back. So those who don't know, Christina's been on YouTube for a long time. And for a long time, she's right around the 2,000 to 2,500 subscriber mark, which is kind of where I'm at right now. And then something happened about 6 months ago that like triggered her channel, and she's just seen huge growth in the last 6 months. And that was that she got to go out to Vid Summit and meet with Daryl Eves and get some, mastermind with him about his channel. She also got to meet with like Nick Nimmin and Brian G. Johnson and a whole bunch of other huge creators. And she got the mastermind with them about, her channel and YouTube as general. So what do you think was like kind of your biggest takeaways from that? What did you learn that you kind of kickstarted your channel again? You started seeing this huge growth in the last few months.
Well, I'm not like a really great at numbers, like I don't like, sometimes when I look at those analytics, my eyes cross. And some analytics that people tell you are important aren't nearly as important as they emphasize. And I found out, and by like everybody told me tags mean absolutely nothing. They're just like, honestly, they should probably just take them off. That was the overwhelming response from everybody, that they're just a waste of creators' time. And that if you take that time, instead of sitting there keyword researching yourself to death and trying to find the magic long keyword phrase, stop, just stop that. Focus on making a super engaging title of your video that gets people to click, and make sure that thumbnail is something that will pop off the screen, that really captivates what your title's about. I found out, of course, everybody kind of knows this, but people love arrows. You throw an arrow in, all of a sudden people are like, "What's that?" Or an arrow with a circle where you make the inside circle like magnified. Like, what is that?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And then like sometimes putting emojis on a face, like with a cry face or whatever, because whenever you blow up your face, sometimes it kind of looks weird or distorted, or it shows a lot of these lines, and it kind of is like, ugh. But if you throw this emoji with a sad face, so I don't know if anybody saw, but my one thumbnail actually is my memoji that you get from your iPhone. And I just downloaded that image and put it on there with the cry face, and I'm hanging out like, hi,
I actually really like that thumbnail. That was a good thumbnail.
Yeah.
It caught my attention because, it looks cute and all, but it's having that emoji head and just it's kind of a scroll stopper. It catches your attention, and it really kind of accurately describes the video as well. Like what you portrayed in that thumbnail is what was actually in the video, which will help with your audience retention.
Yes. And one of the things I learned too is to mastermind with other people that are just as serious about YouTube as you are. That would, like, you get a good, 3-4 people, and you guys, constantly talk about the titles of your videos, and they do not have to be in the real estate niche. Matter of fact, I recommend they're not. So that way they can look at it at a totally different perspective. And you guys just constantly talk YouTube. You throw your titles in there, you throw your thumbnails in there, you give out different suggestions. I mean, you'd be surprised the things you don't think about, that, especially when you're in the real estate field, you think people know stuff because you know stuff. And then you forget that, there's a good portion that knows nothing there. I mean, and some of them are a lot older that had no idea about any of this stuff. So, you end up like seeing things from a different perspective when you have a group of people that are doing videos, but are not in real estate. So I think that was another good, a good tip to meet with people. And there's a couple that I meet at least 4 or 5 times a week,
Really? Still masterminding with a few big YouTubers?
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody knows what Discord is, but it was originally set up for gamers to connect with one another while they were playing games on Twitch and YouTube. But this group is off of Facebook because Facebook is so distracting. You start getting, notifications and everything else. So I have 3 groups that I constantly am in contact with, and there's one group with 4 people, there's one group with 3 people, and then there's another group that's Daryl's group that's with a lot of creators. A lot.
That's great. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. I watched Mr. Beast keynote speech at last year's Vid Summit, and he credits his success to, he said he would get on a daily mastermind call with other creators and just try to like reverse engineer this platform and try to really understand it. And for those who don't know Mr. Beast, he has, I think, like 30 million subscribers right now. And all of his videos get at least 10 million views, and he does these crazy videos. And he says he starts off with the thumbnail and the title first, and then he tries to think of a video that he can make that would fit that thumbnail and title, because he knows how important that click-through rate is and getting people to click to watch that. So that's what he starts off with first, is a thumbnail and the title, and then he makes a video that'd be good enough for that.
I do the same thing.
I try to.
I do exactly what he said. Like I follow his steps 100%. That was a big eye opener. Everything he said that he does, I was like, okay. And I just, started doing what he said, I'm like, he didn't get to where he's at by not doing these things.
Yeah. And most people do it the other way around. They come up with an idea for a video, they make the video, and then like, well, what's a good title for this video? And they're also like, well, what's some good tags that I can use for this video? And you really got to start it with the other way around. If you can't come up with a good title and a good thumbnail, the video is just not going to perform very well on the platform. So that really has to be where you start off.
My description.
So we got a couple comments here.
My description
from Amy
and my thumbnail are at like the description is probably the last thing I worry about. And like literally I just pick whatever vidIQ recommends as tags. I just go and then just call it a day. I don't even think about that crap anymore. Don't even think about it.
Yeah. The video I did today that I published, the tiny home video, I spent 2 minutes on tags. I was like, tiny homes, buying a tiny home, cost of a tiny home. And so I do want to make a distinction. A lot of people are going after search traffic, and I still go after search traffic, but you're not going after search traffic anymore, right? You're going after browse and suggested traffic, and how you optimize for that is a little different than how you optimize for search traffic.
Well, right. I think if you want those big results, I just think that's, I mean, you're not like, when Daryl looked at my channel, he's like, you're 100% a search channel. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're doing everything perfectly for search. I'm like, thanks. He's like, you're never going to get anywhere. And I'm like, oh. And so like, everybody's channel is going to be different. Everybody's channel. If he was to look at your channel, he would tell you something completely different than he would say to me or Amy or anybody that's making videos on YouTube. So, don't think it's like you have to do what Malcolm's doing or you have to do what Graham Stephan's doing in order to make it on YouTube. That's not how it works. YouTube decides what your content is because the audience decides which ones they like the best. And if the audience has picked a video that's doing really well, they want to see more of that from you. And the more you put out of that, the better off you're going to be and you're going to have more success on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. I make two different types of content. I make some content that I am going after that browse traffic, and that's my video today. And I have another video I did is 10 hacks to pay off your mortgage early. That's going after that browse traffic. And then I still do make content going after that search traffic, that the entire goal of that video is I'm hoping it'll rank on the first page of Google for a search term. So I'm editing one right now. It's just going to be a video guide to living in Annapolis, Maryland. And the whole goal is just to get that to be on the first page of Google for living in Annapolis, Maryland.
Well, it probably will because you've already you already have authority. The thing is like my videos on tiny homes have the worst SEO you've ever seen, but they rank #1. So that's 100% true. And there's several. One experiment I like to do is just go on YouTube and search for anything you want, and just look at what the titles are for those, and pay attention to how many actually have that exact search phrase in the title. And currently, it's not as popular. You can have videos ranking #1 that don't even have the exact search term in the title anymore. Yeah, and I would used to be like, how did that happen? What I'm like, why did the YouTube gods just sprinkle fairy dust on that video? Because like mine's edited better, like I was like, I didn't understand how it all worked. It frustrated me a lot.
And the scary thing is a lot of people are still giving out advice that worked on YouTube 4, 5, 6 years ago. SEO used to be like the only thing YouTube focused on.
Right.
And just a few years ago, their algorithms updated and changed, and that's not what they're focusing on now. Now they're more focused on the click-through rate and then how long the person's watching the video. And that's more important to them than, how optimized a video is for a specific search term.
Right. And another key thing I want to point out is that 2 years ago, Vid Summit had the keynote speech was from Daryl Eves, and it was about the Cloud Vision AI. And one of the things that like we're taught by a lot of people that are in the guru space is that you have to have your image on one side of the screen and you have to have your words on the other side of the screen and you have to have this, and like they're telling you all this stuff, and that may be true for the guru niche. But I'm telling you, I have tested and tested. I've been on this long and hard. Like really think about this. Most of the time, people do not give two flying poops on who you are. They care about the information and they care about the house. And I know that I'm a real estate channel. People are there for real estate information and they want to look at houses. And those thumbnails on my channel do a lot better than having my face. And that gave me a complex at first because I would A/B test those. And I'm like, well, this is the way that, I've been told that I'm supposed to do it, with this bright background and the words and and I really spent a lot of freaking time on those. I still do, but not to that degree where, I was getting all fancy. The simplest thumbnails with a real picture, not a stock image, a real picture where the AI says, this is a house, this is a person, this is an arrow, and this is real estate. If the AI, if you take your drag your thumbnail into that Google Vision and it says real estate, that's good. Like you want it to say the word real estate because you're a real estate channel. I look for that particular thing. I look to see what the AI is, how is it reading my thumbnail. Now, don't think that's the end all be all though, because human beings have to click on it. So you have to make sure that it's still just as engaging and as exciting with goofy faces and stuff like that. So you have to kind of marry those two things. The AI isn't going to tell you that you have a winner thumbnail. It's going to just tell you how they see it. And you want to make sure that it has some keywords that have to do with your video itself.
Yeah, because you could create a thumbnail optimized for that AI that has like a picture of a house, and you could say buying a house in text, and it would read that text and maybe some money, and you could optimize it for that AI so it could read it. But if a human being, in the end, the human being has to be engaged and click on it.
Right. So you have to make sure those things together.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say the human being's probably more important than the AI, but the AI's
it's pretty important. The AI is pretty important. You really, because like I said, people tried to game the system with the tags. So the AI now has to find a whole new reason to look at these videos and analyze them. So they want to make sure that title goes with that thumbnail.
Yeah.
So you can't game the system.
And the AI, the same AI that reads your thumbnails, is also watching your entire video and analyzing every frame of your video. So if you have pictures of houses in your video, the AI is going to be much more confident, like, yes, this is a video about houses or about real estate, because it's seeing those images in your video. Yeah, it's super. I mean, it's interesting, just how in-depth this is getting. But so we got a question from Amy here. She says, can I make competitive or captivating thumbnails in Canva, or do I need to up my game and pay for something else?
No, you can totally do it with Canva.
Yeah. What do you use for your thumbnails?
I use PicMonkey, but I'd like to get into Photoshop, but I like, the thing is I started with PicMonkey and it was like a paid service my whole family used. So it was like, I already kind of knew how to use it. And I think any editing software, when it comes to, even editing your videos or your thumbnails or anything, it's kind of like your CRM. It's the one you're going to use.
Yeah.
So if you like Canva, you're used to Canva, you can totally make beautiful thumbnails on Canva. There's plenty on YouTube that are made with that. But I think that like when you really get into this, you want to make this into a job, you're going to have to go to Photoshop. I don't think there's any way around it.
So so let me do a shameless plug right here and do a screen share. So I have a YouTube channel that I started for this podcast, and over on this channel, I'm uploading clips from this podcast. And I have this video right here, make this thumbnail on Canva in 5 minutes. And I show you step by step how I made that thumbnail on Canva. Incredibly simple, really quick to do it. And a lot of creators are still using Canva.com to do their thumbnails. Think Media uses Canva to do a lot of their thumbnails as well, and they're huge. They have almost 1 million subscribers, and they're still using Canva, and they just create very simple and effective thumbnails. You don't have to make them super elaborate and super complicated.
No, and I found that the more simple they were for myself, the better off I was, because I was like painstakingly erasing hairs around my head and all this
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, it took a long time, and I just sit there and just like do this thing. But you know how much easier it is to just like know what you're going to do, take a picture of it before you even start filming, saturate it, sharpen it, play with that picture 1,000 times to find out which one looks the best on a thumbnail, and then just slap it up. I mean, I still spend time, but it's a lot more constructive time than trying to guess. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I'm guessing as much anymore.
So this latest video I did, 7 hidden costs in tiny homes. I just published it this morning. I created 9 different variations of that thumbnail, and just to try to test them out, see how they look. And I posted 8 of them up on Facebook and got people's opinions on which ones they liked the best. And I'm still refining it. And out of those 9, I picked my 2 favorite, and now I'm using TubeBuddy to A/B test those 2 thumbnails to see which one gets the higher click-through rate.
The one that's up right now is the red house with the orange arrow, but the orange arrow kind of gets lost. Like I'm looking at it like right here. So the orange arrow kind of gets lost.
Oh, is it kind of hidden up by the timestamp?
It's hidden up by the timestamp, and the color is orange and the house is red. So it kind of just looks like there's like almost like a flagpole sticking out of the house itself.
Oh, geez. Now you're going to give me a complex here.
You know what? You posted
it was a red
something.
arrow. I at least changed it to orange so the red didn't blend in with the red house.
I'm thinking almost like a blue arrow, because it would be such opposing colors to everything else. You have the green background, you have the red house. I'm thinking like a blue arrow would stick out even more. But
and this is why I like Photoshop, because I can go and update that right now.
Oh, it takes 2 seconds.
Blue arrow, yeah.
Yeah. But you posted something yesterday and you were like, what about my background? And you're like, there's an empty space here. You are overthinking that, my friend. Like nobody's sitting there going, that space behind him is really. And then what cracked, like I was dying laughing because somebody was talking about their studio setup. Yeah. And he asked like what people thought and everything. And you were like, the angle of the perpendicular of the square and obtuse. I'm like, holy cow, Malcolm, this reads like a science assignment. Stop it.
I overanalyze things. I do. So
that's good.
Being a real estate agent, one of my biggest pet peeves is when people angle a camera down or then angle a camera up. And you see this vertical line right here? If you angle a camera down, that vertical line starts skewing outwards like that. It'll be at a weird angle. And if you angle the camera up, that vertical line would then be skewed inwards this way. And it distorts an image and it just doesn't feel right. And there's so many vertical lines in real estate and photography that I'm always just picking those things. It's just
photographers drive me crazy with that kind of stuff. Like I know what you're saying. I do, but that was like that was like nitpicking that poor guy to death. I mean, he had a beautiful setup, and I'm like, are you serious, Malcolm?
The lighting was great. The audio was great.
I didn't like the lighting. That was the one thing I didn't. I thought he was too dark. Like
okay.
I thought everything else was lit up fine, but it felt like he was almost in the shadows.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, his audio was like. It was way good. Well, speaking of audio,
good. Yeah,
I got this. It's the Rode Go.
Oh, tell me about it.
Okay, so like everybody has those lapel mics and everything else. Well, I use a shotgun mic all the time. I use the and it works perfectly fine, except for if I want to have any distance. So yeah, exactly the same one, exact same one, totally fine.
Video Mic Pro.
Yeah, it works very well. But this is like a lapel mic, and you can actually hook up a mic inside this, and you can walk up to 70 feet away from your camera and sound like you're right next to it.
Yeah. Tell me how that works out for you, because I've got the Video Mic Pro. That's probably about 3 years ago I bought this. One problem with this is I always forget to turn off the microphone at the end. And I don't know if you can read this little post-it note I keep here on my camera. It just says turn off mic, because I've left it on so many times. And I'm starting with my show, my videos, then I'm trying to do different shots where I'm back here and then I'll spin and I'll kind of do a side angle like this and get really close to the microphone or to the camera. And you can hear a difference in my audio from when I'm further back to when I get up close. And it's driving me crazy. So I'm looking at lapel mics But that may be a good option for me as well.
Okay, so the one thing, because I learned some things about this after I got it. If you turn completely around from the camera and there's no signal to the device that's to your right here,
Yeah,
it will cut off. But just make sure that it's always like facing the camera in some way, shape, or form. That's all. So, like, say you had it in your front pocket and you turned completely around, it would stop. And then when you turn just a little bit sideways, then it would pick up the signal again.
That's interesting. Okay, so whatever that transmitter is, it's kind of a line of sight transmitter and has to be.
If you're if you're only just a few feet away from it, you can go around in circles. But if you get like 20 feet away from it, it's gonna do that, what I was telling you about, unless you're
right
next to it.
So it looks like Amy is back. Some of us have to have a good angle to hide our old lady turkey necks. I'm more concerned about that. The wall is behind me. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, so people say that if you angle a camera down, that what it does is it makes it look thinner. That's what they say. I still don't like doing that. So here's what happens when you angle a camera down, is that so the vertical lines will start getting skewed in like this. Like this line right here will be skewed like that and kind of going outwards. So the top of the whole picture is going to get compressed, and the bottom of the whole picture is going to get stretched out. And it can literally distort how you look in the image. And a lot of people won't realize, like, oh, they must be angling the camera down. They just look at an image and be like, that doesn't feel right. Something's off about that image. And they don't quite understand that the whole image is getting distorted because your camera angle is pointing down or even up. So just a pet peeve of mine. And it really may make you look skinnier or thinner, but it distorts the image.
Whenever I did those kind of like more sketch type videos, and I would play the little girl, I would purposely angle the camera down so it looked like I was short and squatty. You know, like more like I'm a little kid looking up at my parents.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So somebody asked, can you post the name of that? So I think they're talking about your Rode.
It's the Rode Go. ROD.
Rode Go.
Yeah, RODE. Go.
I'll tell you what. Christina will post an affiliate link down in the comments of this video. So I made my tiny home video, and you know that you can buy tiny homes on Amazon.
Right, I did a video on it.
$20,000, all the way up to $60,000. And so I'm part of their affiliate program. So I made some affiliate links to these tiny homes on Amazon, and I put them in the description of my video. I don't know if I'm going to get anything, but if somebody bought a $60,000 tiny home, I would get between 3 and 4% of that purchase, which would be hundreds of dollars, maybe $1,000 or so.
I didn't do that, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why I didn't do that. First of all, I'm a real estate agent that resells homes. Secondly of all, those homes that they have are just a kit. Most of the time, they're not even going to be permitting. And I don't want to be associated with something that someone purchased and then got in trouble for. So, I just said, no, I'm not doing it. I could have done that. I probably would have had a sale on it because people asked about them, but I refused to do that because I'm a real estate agent that sells homes. I'm going to resell homes one day. What if somebody put this in their backyard and then they're going to have to tear it down because for whatever reason, they don't have insulation, they don't have roofing materials, they don't come with plumbing. I mean, it's literally just a shell of a house, and you have to put them together. So for me, I didn't want to do that. So I did a whole video. I mean, it has over 400,000 views on tiny homes on Amazon.
Dang it. I haven't seen that video yet, but I want to do one on that same topic as well. I mean, it's just really appealing saying that you can buy a house on Amazon, and Amazon is getting into the real estate business, aren't they? They bought some company and they're trying to do affiliate. What it was is that if you buy a house through one of their affiliated real estate agents, they give you like $10,000 worth of Alexa smart home products for your house. And I think they give you like a gift certificate to Amazon as well. And they're trying to get into the real estate game.
So I don't know if you can see that, but it's
the top one?
Yeah, 453,000 views.
Huge.
454,000 views. 6,909 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're having this huge success. You've kind of figured out what videos people, really want that kind of fits your style. Are you kind of changing the direction of your channel a bit? Like you used to do, your value proposition used to be real estate with a sense of humor. And I noticed you don't have that on your banner anymore. Are you trying to
Well,
go in a slightly different direction?
I think just like anybody, you kind of get bored with some stuff.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy doing that, but after a while it became like I knew exactly what I was going to do every week and there wasn't a lot of excitement in that anymore. So,
Yeah.
like every single channel that survives on YouTube has to adapt and change. They have to. So, I knew that in order to be where I wanted to be, I was going to have to adapt and change. I may sprinkle back in the humor again, as I adapt and change, but I'm always looking to see what else is out there. Like I'm always researching to see what else I could talk about and create to make to bring more people to my channel and to engage the audience. And I like doing YouTube. I think the biggest complaint I have is how mean people can be. Yeah,
Right.
that's probably my biggest complaint. But other than that, if you don't let that wear you down, I mean, it's a fun place, and you can have some really cool interactions with really amazing people. Like
Yeah.
some of my really good YouTube friends, I met on a nickname and live stream. Like he has this live stream every Saturday morning where he answers people's questions. And all those people that I knew from the chat, from talking to them in chat, I ended up meeting them at Vid Summit. And now we're like all like close friends now. I mean, we were eating breakfast together, and it's like now
That's
like
great.
they're like friends
Mastermind partners.
yeah, they really are. They really are, because that they're serious. If they're going to spend the money to go to something like Vid Summit, they are serious about YouTube. They are.
Yeah. I plan on going this year. This year, I'm not doing any real estate conferences. I'm just doing video and video marketing conferences.
That's what I did.
That's definitely, it's the future. It's the direction the industry is going, and it's the direction I want to go. So I'm also trying to change the value proposition of my channel as well. My value proposition was and kind of currently is, helping Maryland families make smart real estate decisions. And like you said, I'm getting kind of bored with that. I've made so many videos about selling your home and buying a home. And so my new value proposition is going to be something in line with it's just something about personal finance with an emphasis on real estate and how real estate is, a great investment and how to optimize that investment kind of for like the everyday person. I need to refine that, come up with like a little catchphrase for that.
If I were you, I would like totally study like that Meet Kevin and really like
Grant Stephan.
Yeah, like I would
Andre Jick. Yeah.
I would see what videos are like doing well on their channel right now and make a video about that and do like, I would try to piggyback on that.
They're all big inspirations. And, a lot of them, they either focus on like real estate investing or just personal finance as a whole. And they just kind of talk about real estate. And so there's nobody really doing just personal finance about real estate. Just like that's a subcategory or a sub niche of that niche. And so I think there's like a little opportunity in there for me to kind of step in there. And
absolutely. I loved your video on REITs. I've told you that my husband like looked all that stuff up. We have some stuff now because of that video. That was a great video. I learned some stuff. I didn't know half of that. So that was fantastic.
I mean, I could go, REITs versus flipping homes, or REITs versus stocks, or REITs versus buying a home. What are the best investments?
People love compare videos. They really do. They do like a comparison.
I think they just like those thumbnails, which looks just like our screen right now with a line down the middle and two different things.
People like to be on a side. They do. They like to be on a side. So they like to pick a side. So I think that you can see it in your comment section when you make those kind of compare videos, that some people are so passionate about their side that it creates some interesting conversations within your chat. So I think compare videos are really fun.
Have you ever read the book Primal Branding?
Yes.
Yeah, so in there he talks about kind of like I think it's like 8 different features that most big brands have,
Mhm.
and most of them have the other. It's some kind of
Mhm.
competition to them. So Coke, their other is Pepsi, right?
Mhm.
And Verizon, their competition is Comcast. So
Right.
yeah, you're right. People like choosing a side and being part of like a group. Um, and yeah, I think that definitely that psychology definitely plays into thumbnails as well.
And
This or that.
nothing makes a person more passionate as if they've been on the other side and they switch to another the
Right.
opposite side. So they're like,
Yeah.
"No, I know because for sure," like they're super passionate. So
Facebook versus YouTube. We know which side we're on.
that, like, and do you know
Yeah.
what's so funny about that? Do you know that every single person, I'm telling you, I could call 100 people right now and say, "Do you like Facebook?" And every single one of them say, "No, I hate it." I'm like, "Then why are you on it?" He's like, "'Cause all my friends are on it." They did
Yeah.
nobody likes it. Not one person says, "I just love it. It's just so great engaging with all my friends." Not anybody. I've not like even my parents who are older. They're like, "Well, I like kind of seeing what you guys do with the kids and stuff like that." But most of the time I don't want to hear from half these people. I don't care.
I like the group aspects of it, like
Right.
our group and a few other groups. I mean, without that group aspect, I've seen your videos, but I don't think we would ever like communicate and connected without
I
Facebook
called
kind
you.
of there. Oh, did you? Yeah, maybe you did.
I did. I don't have a problem
Well,
talking and reaching out to people.
right. And you also called that other guy,
Yeah.
Javier.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think there's nothing more personal than an actual human connection. When you get a message, you're like, "Come on, buddy. How hard was it for you just to call?" Like,
And
I
what's
don't know.
funny, you called him like 6 months ago, right?
Mhm.
Didn't you call him? And you had what, maybe 2,000, 3,000 subscribers at the time?
Yeah, 3,000, right?
Yeah, and now you're almost. I checked him out. I think he has 17,000. You're at 15,000 subscribers, and you've got that trajectory. You may actually pass him in subscribers here pretty soon. So
That
kind of that dynamic is kind of changing, and I wonder if he would, treat you any differently,
I don't know.
when you call him up.
He has like a very matter of fact personality. He wasn't
Hmm.
overly like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he wasn't overly like rude or anything else. He was just like, first of like when I was first talking to him, he was like, "Wait a minute, like, well, you're gonna have to like do some work." I'm like, "No, look, I've been on the I'm not a novice. I know how to pick up a camera. I know how to edit." And so then he was like, "Let me see your channel." You could just tell, like, he was like,
Oh, good.
and then he looked. He was like, "Okay, all right. So this is what I think you need to do." And I listened to him, and I kind of knew what he was gonna say, but I was like, I don't want to make another freaking dog pee video, like, and that was my
Yeah.
whole thing. Like, I know that I need to do more of that, but I don't want to do that. I don't ever want to see that again. I was like, I was so hoping Daryl Ears would tell me to erase that damn video, but he did not. I was like, should I
Yeah.
erase it? He's like, absolutely not. I'm like, "Ah."
I think my top video on my channel right now is top 10 abandoned places in Maryland. It
Mhm.
is a cool video. I had fun making it. I don't really want to make my channel about that. I don't want to just make it about abandoned places and historic places in Maryland,
I
you
think people
know?
are confused too, though. I'm gonna say this, like, my channel isn't a tiny home channel. My channel isn't a manufactured home channel. It's a real estate
Mhm.
channel, and I have lots of other videos that haven't quite taken off yet. That just happens to be the section of one of my series of videos that have taken off. My other videos do pretty good. Like, I used to only get like a couple hundred views. Now I get a couple thousand views. So, and they constantly build over time. I will have another section, of course, that will take off again.
Yeah.
It just takes time for the algorithm to know what your content is about and to stay specific. But don't think that if you only do finance, you only can stick with finance. Even Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin, they have other sections of their channel that isn't specifically about one particular topic. Like, you don't get that twisted. Don't, like, I'm not a tiny home channel. That's not what my channel
Right.
is.
Your real estate channel.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's just a subcategory or sub niche
Mhm.
of it. niche. So I posted the other day, Christine and I have a Facebook group. If you guys don't know, it's Real Estate YouTube Mastermind. And I posted in there asking folks if they had any questions that we could answer on our show today. And we got this question from Mark. He says, I need some ideas for small spaces. I have this light now, but I think it's too big and bright, and I need to add some other things too. And I talked to him a little bit in the comment section here. And so he's got a GoPro that he's using as his camera. And he's got this one softbox light. It only has one light in there. It's not adjustable. So what tips do you have for people who are trying to operate in kind of a small space like this? They don't have a whole lot of room.
This is exactly like, I'm going to actually show you my camera. Okay. This is literally the small.
Oh, no. Wait.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. I deleted the wrong one. Okay. You're back.
Okay. So
go ahead.
This is a small space. Literally, it's,
I
mean, it's this wide. Woo. Like, it's not wide at all. Like, it's like a 4-foot space. I have two lights, and you may think it's too bright, but if you have another light on the other side of you, it will even out that light that you have coming in from your GoPro. I would suggest, because your audio in that room is going to sound echoey, even though it's a small room. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see this, but you can see my boom mic.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. And if you don't have if you don't have one of these little the little DJI Go clips or a lapel mic, just go ahead and get yourself one of these boom arms. They're very cheap. I think this is like $13, maybe even $11 on Amazon to hold your mic into the boom. And I would get
that.
And then I
might get one of those.
Yeah, and I do everything in this little room, and I have almost the identical background. I mean, he's got the little wood planks behind him. I have wood planks behind me.
Yeah, I think it's totally possible. I used to have my studio in a little background, and what I did is I sat in the corner, and then I pointed my camera at the corner of the room. And I've seen a lot of other YouTubers do that as well, and I think that worked pretty well. Now I've got a little bit of a bigger studio, and I've got a good bit of space between me and the background. And I do that so that my camera can get that shallow depth of field and can blur all of this, which gives it a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit of a richer feeling, more natural feeling.
Yeah.
So having some space, it's definitely helpful, but you can absolutely shoot in a small space. Another thing I don't know what your audio sounds like, but that's very important on YouTube. People accept poor lighting and poor camera equipment, but they won't accept bad audio. So one thing you can do is just put stuff in your room. So when those audio sounds hit them, they don't necessarily bounce back. They kind of scatter or they get absorbed. And you can also buy some foam dampening panels like this.
And I have them in my office too. See?
Yeah, there we go. And I recommend at least getting the 2-inch ones. And I actually have a video on this on my YouTube channel, YouTube Lead Gen for Real Estate Agents, showing the difference of my studio when I had them and I didn't have them. And without them, you could definitely hear an echo with every single word that I sound. Is very, very distracting. Another thing you can do is you have some nice thick curtains in your room as well. Or you can, if you have hardwood floors, you can put carpet down, and that'll absorb a lot of those sound waves as well.
Yeah. If you're going to do voiceover, the best place to do your voiceover is to go into your master closet.
Yeah.
Because there's clothes all the way around there. Every time I do a voiceover, that's what I do is I go into my master closet. I set it up on the little shelf in there, and I just read from my script, So
yeah,
that's a fantastic place. Everybody's like, how do you do your audio? I'm like, I actually record it on my cell phone, but because it's in my closet, you can't tell. You can't tell the difference.
I'll have to give that a try. I've also seen people buy these sound dampening blankets. They're pretty much just thick blankets, and they literally just throw them over their head, and it's just them and a microphone and a big blanket. So there's zero echo in there at all. And they'll do that if they're trying to do a voiceover. And so he's shooting with a GoPro, which is fine. I started YouTube with a GoPro, and you can do some really, it does thing for the GoPros. You do some great quality with that. I don't know if you can manually adjust the aperture and shutter speed and all that stuff to white light.
Okay, so here's the deal. I want to say something, because as many videos as I've done and everything else, I don't know any of that crap. I don't understand it, and I don't know any of it, and like everything on my computer or on this is automatic.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassed to even say it because, I'm at Vid Summit and I'm meeting these big YouTubers, and I was talking to this guy who has millions of subscribers and beautiful editing work. And he says, I record everything on automatic. He's like, I don't understand that stuff either. He's like, I just know how to create pretty videos. I'm like, wow. Can we see your pull up of your lighting setup? Oh, this is just it. That's just those same lights that other guy had.
Yeah, you got the two soft boxes, and I'll show you what mine looks like. But I totally agree that content quality is more important than production quality. I can have all the fancy lighting and shallow depth of field and all that stuff, but if my content isn't as good, it's just not going to perform. So what I've got in my setup, my office is a complete mess, but I've got one soft box. That's my primary light. And then I got this little light right here, which is just kind of hitting me a little bit on the side, give me a little bit of a highlight here. And then I got a softbox on the ground that casts the light on my background. And then a couple of these Edison lights up here. And I got a couple of little small lights back here that have a little remote control for them just to kind of spice up the background. And that's kind of what my lighting setup is.
I'm always playing around with the lighting. Always playing around with the lighting.
Yeah.
I don't like, sometimes I like it for the wall to be lit up. Sometimes I don't. My next video, I don't know if I'm still playing. I'm always playing because it depends on this window too, because I have a window in here. And so sometimes when I'm filming at night, I have to light up the wall because it looks really strange in here. It makes me look like I have jaundice. But then other times, I like try to block off that light because I just, whatever. You have to really, every time I light up this room, it's always a little different.
Yeah. And so a lot of people just use window light as their primary light, and that totally works. If I'm ever doing, a lot of times I'm doing a live stream, I'll just find a window to have right here and just stand in front of that. The challenge with that though is if you're filming a video, let's say the clouds move, the lighting is going to change. And then when you're editing that video later on, you're editing shots that have different lighting in them. And it's just a little, I don't know, it drives me crazy. It's a little annoying to me that the lighting keeps changing in a shot. And so I actually try to have no natural light in my little studio. And then that way I can control all the light that I use.
If I could do it that way, I would. I really would, but I'm not covering up a window. Yeah. I like it open sometimes to let the fresh air.
Well, I mean, buy some curtains. That would help with your sound dampening as well. And buy some nice thick curtains. I mean, you don't have an echo or anything, but that's partially why I bought the curtains.
Well, I don't have an echo because I literally have this microphone like 2 inches from my face. This is one of those podcasters that are supposed to like get out that echo noise. But I can have, like, if I have this set out, this camera, and if I want to stand back here, there is an echo, especially with the shotgun mic. So that's why I got that. I got that Go.
Okay, get it closer to you.
Right, because this just clips inside your shirt. Yeah. And it's less intrusive than that.
Oh, it's on the inside. It's not on the outside.
You can do either way. Gotcha. You can do either way. So if you wanted the lapel mic, you could have it on the outside of your pocket, so that way you could draw the string up through your shirt and you can have the little lapel mic. But when I was testing it, I don't know. I have this deity mic and it's literally, I don't know why people say like that lapel mic is terrible from deity. It's terrible. But I got the Sennheiser that's coming in. And then I'm going to try that. But this right here sounds really nice. I mean, it really, like, I tested it last night. I was doing a little testing of it. And you can actually even hook your shotgun mic to make it a boom mic into this. So that way you could move that boom all the way back. So
yeah, very cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see how. Did you just get it just recently?
Yeah, I just got it last night. My husband got it for me because I'm awesome, I guess. But I think he got it for me
because money
he's
from
awesome.
YouTube. Your YouTube channel is bringing in so much money, so it's like you're reinvesting that money.
Yeah. He, like at first he was like gung ho. Then he was like kind of like, well, you need to cool it with this, and I'm like so obsessed. And then he was like, Well, I guess you can't beat them, join them. And then I'm like, get out of my videos, because you know what would happen? It made me so angry is that people were like, your husband does such a nice job editing your videos. I'm like, that was like, I know, I was like swallowing battery acid, like,
oh man,
like, oh, your husband's so clever. I'm like, why does it? My name's on the channel. What makes it think that it's my husband doing any of this? He doesn't even know how to turn on a computer, for God's sakes. So I told him specifically, you're not allowed to be on my videos anymore. You're fired. So if you notice, like from there on out, all you saw was the back of my husband's head. He was never allowed to be. His face was never allowed to be in a video again.
So Amy asks, she says, lights on my glasses don't do very well. Any suggestions for glasses wearing people? I try to use natural light. Yeah, that's kind of frustrating. In some of my other channels I've had posters that have glass on them, and you always see the dang glare on them. Only advice I can give is just you have to kind of experiment and position your lights at different positions and see where they do cast a glare and where they don't. I mean, I don't know this very well, but I mean, I would imagine that the light's hitting it and then bouncing back into your camera. So you just have to kind of position things so that the light's hitting it and not necessarily going into the camera.
This way. Not in front of you, not the lights in front of you. You want them like almost the light hitting here.
Right. Yes. So that's very true too. When you set up a key light, your primary light, you want it about a 45-degree angle.
So if you look at Nick Nimmin, he has it, and occasionally the light will flash into his eyes, but he has those lights at an angle towards his face this way instead of right into his glasses.
Yeah. So really just experimenting. Yeah. Try doing them at 45-degree angles, see how they work. So this user says, I get shadows in my background that drive me crazy. Yes, that does drive me crazy as well.
Light the background. That's all you can do. Yes.
Get a light specifically for your background. And that's what I've got back here is I took one of my shadow boxes and I just cast that directly on my background. Shadows in your background are also really bad when you're doing a green screen. And that's why a lot of people, when they do green screens, they have two primary lights to light the person. And then they have lights behind them that shine directly on the green screen to black out all those shadows. And also, if you move further away, right? I'm so far away that my shadow is probably not really casting on the background here. And another thing that I got this tip, I think from Brad McCullen, was I used to have my light box kind of level with me, and I actually raised it up, and the light's kind of coming down at an angle. And this it makes it look more natural, because when you're outdoors, your primary light's usually the sun, so it's usually coming down at an angle, kind of casting a little bit of shadows kind of below you. And also, I think if I did have a shadow, it'd be hitting the ground rather than hitting the background. So maybe just try experimenting with that, see if you can angle the light a little bit differently, get a background light, or get a little bit more separation between you and your background.
And if all else fails, reach out to Nick Niven. He's like super nice, super responsive. Yeah. Just reach out to him. He'll answer your question. Especially, the thing is like, you're not like, hey, how do I get more views and subscribers? You're asking a legitimate question about lighting in your glasses. Yeah. So he's definitely going to answer, he's not, he
has experience with that, obviously.
Yeah. And he's extremely nice, extremely helpful. I mean, and that's a legitimate question that he'll gladly answer. If you want to pop in on their Saturday shows, they have a question and answer thing. The guy's been on there forever. He just hit 500,000 subscribers, which is a huge milestone on something so niche specific as YouTube help,
YouTube growth. Yeah.
YouTube growth. Now, granted, those channels generally do pretty good at the beginning, but it seems like they cap out at a certain level, and he's surpassed that level by, exponentially in comparison to many people that have been on the platform for a lot longer.
And that channel's relatively new. It's only 2 or 3 years old. I remember when he launched that channel, he had some other channels that he had.
He's had numerous. numerous
And
channels.
I remember specifically when he launched this one of his very first videos, he talks about how he was talking to Daryl Eves, and Daryl told him to record 20 videos before he publishes any of them. And that's how he launched his channel, is he had 20 recorded videos. And I think he did like one video every day for like 10 days straight. And then he started doing it like maybe one video a day for 5 days straight, and then every other day. And then he had like a backlog of 5 videos, and he's ahead of the game. And then he started publishing weekly, and he's already ahead of the game because he had so many published and ready to go.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting advice.
Yeah, I don't I've never I haven't launched a new channel for 3 years. So and I didn't know what I was doing when I launched this channel. I mean, I really knew nothing. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do anything. But if I was to do it again, I would definitely I would have a content strategy, which I didn't have before, of what I wanted to make. I would have done a lot of research on it beforehand, and I would have about 10 to 20 videos in that bucket, ready to go, ready to release at that.
Yeah, I think it can help, especially if you're trying to do it weekly. And I mean, I think what you did is the best way. It's just start. That is going to be the quickest way for you to learn, is just start doing videos. Even in this little live stream that we're doing, we could have overanalyzed it and had everything perfect on the very first one, but we just jumped on here and just started doing a live stream straight away. And I think we've already gotten a lot better at it. And 10 episodes from now, we're going to be even better at that, having an even bigger audience that's really engaged.
I think people just like the authenticity of it. Like there is no it's not super polished, because we're not radio or game show or whatever kind of hosts. We're real estate agents just like you. So I think that if we came off too polished, I think it would kind of lose something, because the normal person couldn't do that. They don't have that kind of setup. I think that if you keep it as real as possible, I think that attributes to a lot of what D. Nimmons' success is, which is Nick Nimmons' brother. Of course, he got that boost from his brother, but if his content was garbage and he couldn't resonate with people in a normal, regular way, people would not keep watching his videos, and they're done very well. And he does everything with a cell phone. His whole channel is creating content and how to edit with your cell phone, how to make the best sound with your cell phone, the best mics for your cell phone.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, his whole channel is focused around doing everything you can with a mobile phone, any kind of mobile phone, whether it be a Android or iPhone. It's and that was a great niche to be in, but he couldn't have done it without knowing something about it and doing that. So you can make good videos with just your cell phone. I'm hands down, I'm going to tell you, I use my cell phone to film every single listing video. And when I walk in the door, the people are like, "You're just going to use your phone?" I'm like, "This is what it's going to look like." And I show them an example. And then when they get done, they're like, "I cannot believe you did that with a cell phone." They're so impressed that I could take a cell phone image and make it look like you even said that the tiny homes, with the smooth shots and everything else.
Great. It looked really good.
That's for my cell phone. 100% for my cell phone.
I bought a brand new camera. I bought a $2,500 camera, $400 lens, and then a $400 camera stabilizer. And I tried doing my first tour of a house using all that equipment, and it looked terrible. It turned out terrible because I haven't dove that deep into the equipment. I don't know how to use it. It's super freaking complicated, and your video tour on your phone probably looks better than mine with this $3,000 camera setup, because I haven't invested the time to really figure out all the nuances of it yet to really master it. So yeah, my own cell phones, it's amazing how good the quality is.
They're so good now. I mean, you can even film 4K 60 frames a second now, which, can I just say one thing? Unless you have the drive space, hard drive space, the video card and all that to do that, 4K is completely 100% unnecessary. Unless you have that ability to make that happen without killing yourself trying to wait for files to render and all that. I mean, it takes up so much space on your computer. So don't feel like if you're doing a video and it's only at a 1080p, that is 100% totally fine. Don't get caught up in the well, it has to be at 4K or it's just not, a good professional video. Baloney. Hogwash. Total hogwash. And you can make fantastic videos with your cell phone. Fantastic. I did it for almost a year. Like almost like a good 9 months of my channel. The first 9 months was 100% on my cell phone. So.
Tim Macy over in RATV, he's got a video that he did of this wedding that he went to, and he shot it all on his iPhone 11, and it looked amazing. It was a fantastic video, great quality. It's all shot on his cell phone. And I mean, really, he probably got some shots because it's on his cell phone that he probably wouldn't have gotten if he had this great big camera equipment, had to take it out of the bag, set everything up, adjust the aperture, exposure, and the shutter speed, and then go it's very cumbersome. So you can absolutely get some good quality stuff. And going back to the 4K thing, if you look at your analytics on YouTube and on Facebook, majority of your views on both platforms is going to be on a mobile device, right? If I'm watching and the majority of them, the phone is vertical on both YouTube and Facebook, most of them. So you're only taking up about 1/3 of the screen. So whether or not you have a 1080p or a 4K or 8K video, you're not going to be telling a difference when you're watching it on a phone. So it's like irrelevant. Peter McKinnon actually talked about this, how he shoots in 1080p. He doesn't do 4K and 8K and all that nonsense. And he's a huge YouTuber and he sticks to 1080p.
Yeah, but Marcus Browning, I think, shoots in 8K and then brings it back down. And granted, like the significance of the two, it isn't like when you go to 720 to 1080p. There is a significant difference to your eye. But they proved it in that video that your eye can barely even tell the difference between 4K and 8K. And like, a lot of times when you go into television shops, they intentionally crisp up the image on those more expensive 8K TVs for you to believe that it's so much better. They purposely calibrate the ones that are less expensive and not at that 4K quality to make it seem like, oh, well, I have to get this because look at the image quality on this. They do it so you'll buy it, like everything. Just remember, the whole world is geared for you to buy more crap.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, even on a 4K TV, I watched Marcus Brown. Was that his name? Oh, MK2 HD. Is that his channel? Something like that. And I watched one of his videos, and I guess it was shot in HD 8K.
Yeah, 8K.
And not HD. Anyway, and I really couldn't tell a difference. I actually like Peter McKinnon's video quality better. I think his lighting grading was better. I think like the contrast was better. Marcus Brown's videos are not very saturated, which is kind of like an aesthetic choice that he does.
Right.
And I really couldn't tell the difference even when I was watching it on a 4K TV.
They did this side by side, and I'm like I'm really like looking at that image, and I'm like,
yeah,
it isn't enough for me to go. I mean, like anybody that's ever tried to edit 4K, just even 10 seconds, because I accidentally filmed a whole listing video on 4K when I got this new phone. I was like, what is going on? How come this thing is like 8 gigs?
Yeah.
And it was like, because I recorded it all in 4K. I'm like, oh God.
It's going to take forever to render. Oh my God.
I had to do like each clip. And then like I do a clip, download that clip, and then put it in the new timeline. So that way it would be at 1080p. That was a nightmare. Like it's totally not worth it, and I've got a pretty strong computer. If you don't have a graphics card for that, you'll have like when you're trying to edit, it will skip. It's not worth it. Totally not worth it.
So Amy says, my heroes are Bob and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet. They're all about quality content with simple production. That is my model. Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't know who they are, they're two physical therapists, and they make these silly little videos, but they're very educational. And their whole thing is we're the two most famous physicians and physical therapists on the internet. And yeah, it's just a camera. There's really no editing at all, like no cuts. It's just them talking and providing content. And it just goes to prove that content quality is more important than production quality.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
I have a friend who has a astronomy channel. He's he's not astronomy, and he's
Yeah.
he's an
The
educator.
real one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he's an educator, and he literally just really is just talking about what he knows about certain kinds of comets and everything else. And he's like just nonstop talking, like he's just having a conversation with you. And then he'll throw in some B-roll images because NASA gives you, I don't know if anybody knows this, but you're allowed to use the NASA images that they have. You're for free. Anybody can use them. And then he puts that over there. His channel has blown up. When I met him a year ago, he was like, I have 1,000 subscribers. And then we were tied at 3,000 subscribers. And then all of a sudden he put out another video and it just took off. And the whole thing is that he really knows what he's talking about. And I think that if you have any subject that you're super connected to in real estate, whatever it may be, if it's buying homes like Javier Landada, whatever.
Yeah.
If it's like him, he's super passionate about buying home buyers. And his whole channel is all different types of videos for buying a home. If you're into new construction like Amy, you can make a channel about all the different aspects of new construction,
authority on that.
And gain authority on that. And if it will resonate with people watching because you're excited and passionate about it. It isn't that you're just shooting out facts. You like the topic. People know when you like a topic because it's not even that you're thinking about it. You're just talking about it because you like it so much. It's kind of like me and Malcolm about YouTube.
Yeah, we could talk about this for hours and hours.
Hours and hours. We go down the rabbit hole a lot because it's such a fascinating, it's like, I feel like it's got a life of its own. And it's such a different community than all the other social media platforms. And it's like, it's that nut that we were all trying to crack because it's
right. It's a riddle, and it's a constantly changing riddle. And it's a riddle to figure out the platform, the algorithm, but also the users and their expectations. And there's trends, and it's constantly changing and evolving. It's pretty fun trying to crack this code.
Mr. Darrell Eve says, if you start creating videos, he just said this in his last live stream on his video makers and marketers. He said, if you make videos for human beings and less about the algorithm, you're going to be a heck of a lot better off than trying to gain the system by trying to figure out and crack the code of YouTube.
And yes, and your videos and your titles and your thumbnails should all be geared for the human being.
Yes.
Well, I think that's probably a good place to end on. We're up to an hour and 15 minutes.
Correct.
And I know we could go on for hours, but we'll save it for next week.
Correct.
So some housekeeping. If you guys aren't familiar, we have a Facebook group, Real Estate YouTube Mastermind, which we do this live stream. We answer your questions about using YouTube for lead generation. I've got a YouTube channel, which I'm going to be posting highlights and clips from this show on. That's called YouTube Lead Gen for Real Estate Agents. And then I'm also started saving these as podcasts, and I'm still kind of figuring that out, for that whole platform out as well. But I'll be posting this, a link to the podcast as well in our Facebook group.
I don't know what podcast system you put that on, but I know that some people have entered this group. I approved, I know 2 that said that they heard your podcast, which was, I didn't know you had created a podcast. I was like, podcast? When did this happen?
Yeah, why not? Take the audio from this, save it as a podcast. Gary Vee talks about that, repurposing this content with this live stream. I'm now going to splice up into 4 or 5 different YouTube videos and set it as a podcast, and maybe I'll make some memes out of it.
I agree.
And I'm still trying to figure that out, though. I have it up on podbean.com, but I can't find it when I search for the podcast on some other sites, and apparently it's pretty complicated, kind of a pain in the neck, and you have to like manually syndicate it out to different
talk to my friend Neil C. He did it. It's in one click. It all goes to all the little, and I found him easily. So ask him about that.
Yeah, I'll figure that out once I get some time.
Yeah, I know. Right. So I do have to go, but I appreciate, like, I always enjoy our little talks every week. This is our own little mastermind every week.
It is. Like, we're both still growing and we're still trying to figure it out. And, I love learning from other real estate agents and creators in our group and in other groups and all over the place.
Me too. Me too.
All
And
right,
if you guys,
Christina.
wait 1 second. If you guys want your thumbnails to be looked at, Malcolm and I have another group that is it's a master your thumbnails, or what is it? What is it called?
Now,
You change the name all the time.
YouTube thumbnail mastermind. I
Yeah,
think we have it linked in our Facebook group.
Yeah. So please, like, they're so important. Like, I can't stress to you how important they really are. I know that, like, with many other people, like almost like that look at it as an afterthought, but your thumbnails are just as important as your title. So do not be afraid to post those in there so we can all give you little helpful hints, and other people that may not be in our niche could tell you things that they see that they would like to see in a thumbnail. So definitely 100% put those in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's great feedback you gave me on my thumbnail, that the orange didn't really stand out from the red house very much. And then you also gave me a feedback on another thumbnail that you would switch the sky out, make it more of a blue contrast, the sky. And I did that, actually. And that's the variation that I'm testing, is that image versus the other image. And I switched out the sky on that. So yeah, absolutely, man. Just feedback from that can absolutely help you make better thumbnails.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's about it. I will see you next week, Christina.
Thank you, Malcolm. See you next week.
Bye, everybody. Bye. And